How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the Movie Castle, and today we're going to be taking a look at Creepshow, Season 2, Episode 5. This one's entitled Night of the Living Late Show. This is from 2021, and we're directed this time around by series creator Greg Nicotero, and we star Justin Long, Darcy Carden, Hannah Fierman, and Christopher Lee, and Peter Cushing. More on that in a little bit. This is episode 5 of the second season, and is actually the finale. Now, last season we went for 6 episodes. This one we only went for 5. But that being said, don't worry, because Creepshow Season 3 actually came out this very same year. So it's not like we had to wait around or that we were short on Creepshow, you know. We only got 5, but Season 3 came out really quick. So we still get more of this show. But that being said, this is also the first regular season episode to be one story for the whole duration. Obviously, the holiday special was just one story, but this is the first time they did that in a main episode. Now, I do like this idea, you know, having 2 stories per episode. It really does keep the movie's anthology feel. And also, shorter stories, you can go in, you can go crazy, and you can pop back out. But I like the idea that if you have an idea that warrants it, why not just do a full episode, you know? So I do like being flexible, you know, maybe we get 2 stories, maybe we get 1 long story, you know, and this story definitely warrants it. Now, I said in my review for episode 1, story B, the Evil Dead crossover, I was like, isn't this cool? Season 2's opening up, and we have a crossover episode. I was like, you could actually use Creepshow to do crossovers with a bunch of other shows. It could be like a hub for horror movie crossovers. And I said that, and I was really happy for it, but I didn't think we would get another crossover so soon. This is the Horror Express crossover. Basically, in this episode, you get a guy played by Justin Long who builds a super special VR machine that can send you into different movies. So you can be in your favorite movie. And his favorite movie is the classic British horror film, Horror Express, with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. So, you know, 2 times in this season, well, there was also the Universal Monsters episode, but those were legally distinct. So we've gotten lots of crossovers with Creepshow Season 2, and I think they're going to continue that. I haven't got a chance to see Season 3 yet, but I saw the trailer for Season 3, and I did see the ball from Phantasm, the Sentinel Sphere, and I'm really looking forward to whatever episode that's in. So, you know, props to Creepshow for bringing us nerdy little horror fans crossover episodes, and anything else you want to do, Creepshow, I will definitely be happy for that. But anyway, this is a funner episode, one of the better ones. When they put him into Horror Express, it actually looks like he's in there. They did a really good job of matching the lighting, but also in the edit, because you have to pay attention to what everyone's doing and edit him in such a way where it looks like the characters are actually reacting and talking to him. So really good job integrating him. And also a really good clean copy of Horror Express. Horror Express, you find it everywhere on like several multi-packs. And I've seen some really cruddy copies of Horror Express. So props to them for getting it really clean in this episode. But yeah, I'd be interested to see how they stuck him in there. I'm wondering if it's on the bonus features of the Blu-ray or not. But they did a really good job putting him in to a classic movie, and Justin Long really does feel like he belongs there. So that's really cool. And overall, I'd have to say this is one of the funner episodes. If you guys just want to see the best episodes of the series, I would definitely put this one on the list. It's really cool. Like, kind kind of reminds me of, did you guys ever see the movie Dead Men Don't Wear Plaid with Steve Martin? It's a little bit like that, where they edit Steve Martin into a bunch of old movies and make their own plot. Definitely check that out if you like this episode. But without further ado, let's go ahead and talk a bit about the plot in more detail. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want to say my piece on a few of the plot points and make sure you guys have a basic understanding as to what the episode's about. We open up with Justin Long there, and he's finally finished his VR machine, and he goes into the VR and you see a movie selection screen, and he picks Horror Express. And I really do like that they picked Horror Express. It's not the biggest, most obvious movie. It's a little bit more of a nerdy pool, you know, so I do like getting a more obscure movie. Obviously, all us horror geeks have heard of it, but it's not the biggest, most obvious choice. And I find that when you talk to people, a lot of their favorite horror movies are movies like this. You know, there are the big obvious choice, but a lot of people are like, I don't know if you heard about this, but my favorite horror movie, and then they'll pull out something a little more obscure. And I always do find that that's kind of interesting when people's favorite movies are a little bit more on the obscure side, you know? So he goes into Horror Express, and he, right off the bat, it opens with the train sequence where they're loading up the boxes, and Justin Long gets in here and he's like, oh, I know what this guy's gonna do. And then Christopher Lee walks up and he goes, oh, wow, you're Christopher Lee. You're Dracula. Well, I mean, you're not Dracula now, but you're Dracula. And he really does have this big, lovable, nerdy reaction to him, you know? He goes into the movie and he's just thrilled to be there. And that's kind of what the audience feels like. You know, the audience, a lot of their target audience are horror movie geeks. And, you know, he's thrilled to be in the movie, and we're thrilled to see the movie. You know, like, you know, turning on an episode of Creepshow and seeing Christopher Lee, that's just, it really is a treat. Now, you can also see that he goes in, and the characters do see him, they interact with him, but if he says anything too out there, like, you're Dracula, they'll be like, what? You know, so they'll brush it off, be like, what are you talking about? Never mind, you know? So they'll react to him, but they'll stay pretty much on script, you know? So if he does anything crazy, they'll brush it off, or they'll go, oh, I think you mean this or something, you know? So he is there, but the characters, for the most part, are gonna work to stay in their original places. Now, they explain later on how the machine works, and they go into a lot of how he's in there, and they're like, okay, the thing he's laying in, it's a booth, it looks a little like a tanning bed, and they're like, it scans you, and that's how the computer knows what you look like, and the VR goggles come down, and he controls the thing, he has a joystick on his thumb. They explain a lot of that, but really, the big thing here would be programming. You need an AI that can, on demand, find a movie and build a 3D model of its set. And the 3D model would have to, you know, look at a scene from multiple angles, patch the objects together from multiple shots, and anything that's not in the film, it would have to just use AI to, you know, complete it. You know, like, obviously a lot of scenes you'd have the fourth wall, you know, where the camera is, and the AI would have to just build that in even though you don't see it. And the AI would also have to pilot the characters, so whenever they're doing something that's not in the film, or whenever you push them off their track, the AI would have to figure out how to make each individual character react, and they get all caught up about how he's going in there, but really, the biggest part would be getting all the software together to make the world work, but that's probably a tangent that doesn't really matter, and I probably spent more time talking about it, and they were probably smart to just brush all that aside. But anyway, he comes out of the movie after a little bit and starts talking to his wife. You see, the wife doesn't really get this project. She, Justin Long tries to get her to go in, and she's like, no, I don't want to go in your weird machine. What you think you think you would be able to talk her into it. You know, the idea of going into your favorite movie, you think you'd be able to get her, you know, maybe not Horror Express, but maybe get her to go into one that she likes, but she's just staying away from this thing. And you do find out kind of where their relationship's at. They're married, but it's only been about a year, I think. So they've not been married that long, but also, and this is the big thing, is that the wife's dad doesn't like Justin Long and says he's only marrying you for your money. And that's sort of this thing that's going to get in her head, and it's going to be really hard to brush off, you know. You want to say, this is my husband, he loves me, but how do you know once this seed's been planted that he really loves you and that it's not just him using you, you know? And that really is going to be an interesting thing, you know. Once they got married, he dove into this project. He's been spending all his time and been spending a lot of money on this. And he goes, yeah, but that's my work. That's what I do. And you don't really know. You don't really know what Justin Long, what his original plan was. You know, this is where it's really good to get an actor like this, is because, you know, in a lot of other actors you would think, okay, he's definitely evil. How could she not notice this? But with Justin Long, you don't know, maybe he is evil and he's just really good at hiding it. Or maybe he got distracted by the ambition of his project and was later on tempted. You know, so I am kind of curious, you know, what was his goal? You know, did he mean to go as far and as dark as he did? Or was he just naively following his fandom? You know, so that is something that I wonder about, you know. But the wife doesn't like the machine, and she says, don't spend all your time in this. So in turn, he starts to sneak into the machine when she doesn't know. So, like, he'll wake up before her, and while she's asleep, he'll sneak into the machine, or he'll say, oh, I'm feeling a little sick, you go out without me, I'm going to stay home, and then he'll go into the machine. So he's hiding it from his wife, and she's, of course, wondering and starting to suspect something's up with him. But then we get into the twist, the moment where it definitely goes too far, and you find out that he's actually romantically interested in the lead from Horror Express. Like, since he was a kid, when he first saw the movie with his dad, he said he saw her and fell in love with her, and he's been obsessed with her ever since he was little. But of course, Horror Express is an old movie, you know, so the actress is probably dead by now. I should have looked that up beforehand, but yeah, so they're separated by time, and this is one of the few ways he can get with her. And yeah, that's sort of the thing, is, you know, this is where you get that classic Tales from the Crypt style backstabbing and betrayal, you know? He is rejecting reality. He's kind of cheating on reality by going into the game, but he's also cheating on his wife. Granted, it's not real, but she's definitely not going to be happy if she finds out. So yeah, he's fallen in love with this world and also falling in love with this woman, and what's going to happen if he gets found out? And that's, of course, where you lead to the finale. It actually does have a pretty clever finale and a little bit of a twist to this. I won't spoil that, but it does really build up to something interesting and a fun sequence that I really did like. I actually wish the finale was a fair bit longer, because it's a fun idea, you know? But overall, this was a really good episode. An interesting concept, incorporating an old movie, and you really do get a lot of the movie. You know, you have the full hour episode. Well, maybe like 40 minutes, 45 minutes. But you have the full episode, and you use a lot of it to go into a lot of Horror Express, you know? You do get a lot of Horror Express in this movie, a whole bunch of shots of him integrated into the movie. Really cool special effects work, really fun, nerdy concept, and it's one that when you look back at the episodes, it's going to be one of the ones that pops up higher in my brain that I'm like, oh, remember that one where they went into the movie? That's really cool, and I really do like this one. So overall, yeah, one of my favorites of the season. Obviously, the Evil Dead one is my absolute favorite of the season, but this is probably a good second place. Really, really fun episode. If I had any criticism, I wish they spent more time in other movies. You know, they open it up, and you see his movie selection screen, and it has a whole bunch of different movies, and I'm like, man, if we could have maybe just as an opening, you know, done a little compilation of him visiting multiple movies. I get they want focus, but at the same time, I would have loved to see him go into all these different movies, you know. So, yeah, the story narrative focus of just doing Horror Express, I get that, but at the same time, I wish we had had a few scenes of other movies. But it is what it is, and I do really like this episode. Anyway, that's it for Season 2. Really looking forward to getting my hands on Season 3. And whenever I get a chance to watch those episodes, I'll definitely be doing individual reviews for them as well. Now that being said, I've reviewed all the past episodes. All of Season 1, all of the other Season 2s, and the specials. So if you want to see those, I'll put the playlist at the bottom. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll put the Creepshow playlist on the bottom. If you want to see more, you can click there and see more. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.